welcome to another episode of Empowerment TV. I am your host, Dr. Janelle Jones. I'm so glad that you're here. Please make sure that you are subscribing and commenting below because we actually want to hear from you. Remember, this is all about authenticity, power, and purpose. So we are going to get in. We're joined by a powerful force today. And this is such a good topic because I don't think it's taught enough. So we're going to talk about building wealth and authentically living your best life. So before we bring Miss Chinn up to the stage, which I know y'all can see her, but we're going to actually, I'm going to read her bio to you so you can actually learn more about her. She's going to give you some information about who she is. And also we're going to put it in a link at the bottom of the description. So make sure you actually follow her, because when I tell you you're in for a treat about finances, listen, just go grab your notebooks and your pens and papers right now. Listen, this show is really created for women and men, whoever want to listen, to really help you really take hold of your life and not feel unstuck. Don't think that you don't have the power to choose and really to level up. But I love interviewing guests who have came from someplace, who have real life experiences, and they're here to help you grow. So don't take this lightly when they're sharing their information to you or with you. Chinn Richardson is a licensed financial professional and money mindset transformational coach. Chinn created her first business, RestoreYourCreditHere.com, in 2016. It's currently known as Rich Education Training and Business Services, LLC, and is also known as Just Ask Chinn. She obtained her first financial license in 2021 and continues to educate herself to fluently speak the language of money. Chinn's goal is to support hardworking adults in their quest to build wealth, create a legacy for their families, and authentically live the life they want to live. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So welcome so much, Chinn. I'm so excited for you to be here. I know that you're about to drop some jewels. You'll hear me say all the time, pass the collection plate, because listen, y'all are going to get some information. I know that you're going to be able to take this information and institute it in your daily lives for change. Now, we are going to have Chinn come up as we talk about building wealth and to live your authentically live your life. Not just your life, but your best life. And some people don't understand what the best life is. And that's what we're going to talk to Chinn about, because some people out here faking it, but we ain't going to get into that. She's going to really break some things down for us so that you can have a better understanding of wealth. My part that I love so much about this is she helped you build your wealth generationally, right? So it's not just, okay, we hear that the wealth stops, right? Especially in like our communities, this information is so needed. So Chinn, I'm gonna let you get started and talk to us about what led you to here. It's always backstories to how we get, to our business and why we help people. So what led you to here?
Yes, absolutely. First and foremost, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so happy that I'm here to share this story and this information with you and your viewers and your listeners. So, like you said, there's always a backstory. And if you really think about it, the majority of the times we do the things that we do as business owners and entrepreneurs is because we have that backstory. And we want to help people to not be where we were, or to, not have to go through the things that we went through. And that's really what it is for me. So I started out like most. I never had a financial education, right? So middle grade school, and we both went to the Ohio State University, right? But did they teach you about finances there? Did they teach you how to read your paycheck? Did they teach you about credit? Did they teach you about investments? Didn't know any of these things. So I lived life the way the majority of us do. Experience, just letting things happen. The little bit that my family, my parents did know. And even then, there were some things that my mom knew and she didn't even pass those on to me. And I'm like, Mom, what, you were great with your credit and your budgeting, like you didn't pass that on to me. So I didn't have that education. living life just through experience. When I left, I worked at Ohio State University as well, like you did. And when I left Ohio State University, you know, there's that 401k, that pension that you have. And I really and honestly did not understand what it was for. I have a general idea, right? Retirement, but you really don't think about that, right? Especially when you're at a young age. And so when I left, and listen, I say this to everybody, I keep it a buck. I have no problem putting my information out there, my story out there. I'm gonna tell you the real. So when I left there, I had that pension. And all I knew was someone said, okay, you need to go to a bank so they can put that money into account so they won't tax the, you know, something I can't remember specifically what they told me, but they said, you need to go to a bank. So I went to a bank. And the lady at the bank said, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and you're going to do this. So I always fought myself because I didn't ask the right questions, I feel like. But at the same time, there wasn't a Chinn sitting behind that desk that said, let me break this down for you, sister. You need to know this information. Let me tell you why you're doing what I'm telling you to do. Not just tell me what to do, not just tell you what to do, but let me break it down for you why I'm telling you to do this. Let me show you how this works. And that didn't happen for me. So guess what happened to that money? All that money that was put into that retirement account for me. I blew that.
Wow.
At the time, you know, I had left OSU. I started another job and they ended up falling under. I was teaching medical billing and coding. I actually did that for 6 years. But the place where I was at, they went under. So I didn't have a job. So first thing you do, and I hear people talk about this all the time, I got my 401k, so I just take from that. There's penalties with that when you're not at that age, you know, but we don't know these things. So I took that and I kept taking from it and I kept taking from it and now it's gone. Right? But here's the thing, and I'm sure we'll probably get into this later. A large percentage of Americans do not have at least $25,000 in a retirement account. The majority don't have anything in there. They have no retirement. And when you sit and you talk to the older generation and you ask them, what do you wish you had done? A lot of them say, I wish I had saved more. Right? So I ended up having to start all over.
Wow.
I had to start all over. And so that was embarrassing, number one. And then devastating, you know, after I finally, you know, learned what it was, devastating for me. And so anything I can do to help people not make those horribly uninformed financial decisions that we need, I'm going to do it. I'm learning for me and I'm learning for my community. I'm doing this for me and I'm doing this for my community. So there's that part of it. And then as you said earlier, I did start out with my business because one other thing was my credit was horrible. Wow. I had terrible credit. I didn't even know credit went as low as my credit score was. But you know, I had a really good friend, my best friend, had connected with some people and they were in this business where they were teaching people about credit and educating people on the importance of credit. And so I joined forces with her because she's a good friend. She knew my situation. She knew my credit was garbage. She knew it was trash and she wanted to help me. And so she did. And from that, I started learning about credit. And I actually was able to raise my credit score 200 points in about 6 months. But this is another thing that people don't know or they don't think about this. Credit is a byproduct of good money management.
Say that one more time.
Credit is a byproduct of good money management. And so what was happening was as quickly as my score went up, it started to fall because I did not have good money management. I did not understand how money works. I didn't speak the language of money.
I
And
didn't.
so I started having all these problems.
Wow.
So down comes my credit score again. And what I started to realize is the same thing was starting to happen with the people that I was showing. This is how you do it.
Mm, 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 mm.
Once again, I keep it a buck. So I'm putting it all out there.
Listen, I wasn't expecting all this early. But wow. So like, were you in a situation where, you were teaching people how to build their credit and then you were still trying to build your credit?
Still building my credit. But
Mhm.
like I said, I did not know and understand how money works. I knew that you had to pay your bills on time. That's 35%.
Yeah.
Right? You got to pay your bills on time. But you have to manage your money well to do that. And there's certain parts of that, right? Because here's the thing. 74% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and a large portion of that are making $100,000 annually or more.
Okay. First of all, I appreciate that you're bringing stats, right? I appreciate that you're bringing stats to the table and that you're saying that here are statistics, because you did that like a few times. Statistically speaking, we got the retirement system and we also got other stuff. The fact that people, and I know it's changed because like with inflation, I can't even imagine just how much like that $100,000 is worth now, right? So people who are making $100,000 are not even, saving enough money or putting enough money away for retirement. Now we're entering, in 2023 inflation. So $100,000 is probably not the same as $100,000 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely not.
Mm.
Absolutely not. We have people make jokes about it, but think about, with eggs.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't paying this much for eggs, even, last year before last, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago, for sure, no, we weren't paying what we're paying right now. So you're absolutely right.
I think it's just really mind-blowing, because $100,000 is decent money. It's not that you're the richest person, but it's still decent money. But one person can have $100,000 here, and they could be poor with their money management. Another person can have $100,000 here, and they could be great with their money management. What's the difference between the two? I know it's a money management issue, but how does their life change if they're living a life that's not good with money versus a life that is good with money?
Yeah, well, making the amount of money you make is important, but it's also the amount of money that you keep is important. And that's the difference. And I'll take it a step above that. The way you make your money is important.
Yeah.
There's levels to making money. I was just talking about this yesterday, and I I was joking about it. I'm like, there's levels to making money, B.
You gotta tell us what the levels are, because I'm curious, like, what are the levels to making money? I'm very interested in knowing.
Absolutely. So we're jumping into this. We're jumping into this real fast, but I love it. I love it. So there's a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Everybody's heard that book. Well, not everybody, let me not say everybody, but Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And in that book, he talks about the cash flow quadrant, right? So with the cash flow quadrant, you have your left side and you have your right side. And the goal is to be on the right side. And I'll talk more about that in a second. So there's your quadrant. You have E, which stands for an employee. So this is the way that most people make their money, as an employee. And as an employee, your employer owns that job. Right? And so the amount of money that you make is solely dependent on the success of that employer. Right? That's employee. That's right?
It's the solely dependent. I'm like, woo, but go
It's
ahead.
solely dependent. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's solely dependent on the success of your employer,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we realized that when at the start of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
we had all of these people losing jobs. So then the STEMI checks started rolling out because the success of that employee was solely dependent on the success of the employer. The money that the employee made was solely dependent on the success of the employer. And then here's the other thing with that, with that employer on that job, everything that you want to do, that time is based on the employer too. So when you want to take vacation, what you got to do?
Ask. Put your request in.
Put your request in, and they can say yes or they can say no.
Yeah.
Then there's even times, hey, can I take my lunch now? Can I take my break? You're asking for these things, right? So your time is not your own. Then with that, we talk about benefits. Everybody's like, you want to have good benefits. You want to have good benefits. And that's great. Benefits are great. I worked for OSU, great benefits. I worked for Franklin County here in Columbus, Ohio, great benefits, right? But then you're dependent on those benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Become dependent on those benefits. So then you have the next level. So now you're like, I want to be my own boss, right? So I want to be my own boss. So you become self-employed. So that's the next level. Now you own your job. And your money, which you can earn way more money self-employed than what you can with an employer, because that money's capped.
Yeah.
You become self-employed, that money's uncapped, right? Your success, your money is solely dependent on you and the success of your business, right?
Yeah.
So, but now your success is solely dependent on you.
Take the pressure off.
If you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah.
Right. So, one of the good things when you had that job with the employer, you have benefits, but it's on you. But the good thing is you have ownership. You own that. That's yours. And ownership means that's something that no one can take away from you. That's what ownership is. Nobody can take that away. So then there's that. So then you move to the next level, and now you are a business owner. Now we're at the right side of the quadrant. And B stands for business owner. We want to get to the right side. So there's a distinct difference between business owner and self-employed. So to be wealthy, you need to either put people to work, or you need to put money to work, or you put both to work. So as a business owner, now you are training people. There's a certain system. You own a system now. So with that system, you're training people to do this work, and you don't actually have to oversee all of your work because you've trained people to do it, and now they're off doing it. That's passive income, right? So they're off doing the business that you taught them to do. Meanwhile, you're raking in that passive income. So that's the difference between self-employed and a business. You have people working for you, and you don't have to totally oversee that, right? The last and final one, and this is the end all be all, is an investor. And an investor has that means at least 70% of your income is passive income. So you don't have to work if you don't want to. Right? And so with an investor, excuse me, so they acquire assets, right? So they acquire assets. And when they want money, they go looking for opportunities to acquire assets. And they use the income from the assets to buy more assets.
Collection plate. Okay. Because this information is so good to me. Like my mind is like going 100 miles an hour, because I'm thinking of like 10,000 questions to ask, right? But it's just like the fact that you have these different types of ways to make money. the goal, because I'm thinking about how many people just don't invest. I know we had a conversation before, and I was talking about, man, I'd be like, do I want to buy this outfit? Do I want to do this? And I start to shift from like, okay, I can take this $50 and put it into X, Y, and Z and watch it grow instead of, buying all the stuff. And I want to dig deeper to that too. But, if we are looking at this world, especially, like this was perfect timing, right? I didn't plan like the way we planned this, because we just heard about banks crashing, failing, right? This is a perfect way to talk about finances. We talk about the bank crash, and I believe the government is going to, and I'm not trying to be political, but I believe the government is bailing them out, right? So I'm not the political person. I'm telling you, I'm not. However, there are some things you cannot ignore that is happening in our world, like things that you can't just continue to turn the blind eye to because that ain't your jig or your jam, or you're not interested in that. Like, I'm thinking about the 2008 crash, that impacted us. Like you really have to like know enough to know what you need to really do in order to like create that generational wealth. We can't stay stuck in it'll work out, and we're not really putting any effort towards our own breaking our generational curses to create our generational wealth. So I really just appreciate this education. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. I need to be an investor, but go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Talk to us more. So
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. But the goal is, one of my mentors talks about this all the time. He says, if when I buy something, buy a pair of Nikes, you pay $100 for a pair of Nikes, why not invest in that? Invest $100, invest that money into Nike.
Man.
So every time he buys something, he says he invests that same amount.
That's powerful because you yield more results. You do have to be wise about what stocks. We get that part, but is really like not just looking at I'm right here now, right? Like it's not just looking at just the present. The present is important, but when we're talking about planning, you have to financially plan. You don't want to be 70 years old and you still working at Walmart because you have to. If you want to work at Walmart, hey, do your thing.
Right.
But not because you have to. And
right.
You brought a good point. A lot of people, we don't tell you to quit your jobs or anything, but a lot of times that holds people back from truly. And then you have people who are miserable at work because they don't want to take a leap into their own creativity to make their business stuff happen. Because they are worried about Social Security and, their insurance and all that stuff. When, again, we're not telling you to go quit don't be going back to your spouse and be like, Janelle and Chinn told me to quit our job. We're not saying that.
Please don't do that.
Don't do that. What we're saying is sometimes you have to really look at the benefits of what you're currently in. Some of y'all are in situations where you are freaking miserable, and work is where you spend you spend 40 hours a week at a place around people you probably don't like, and a job that you hate because you can do better. You like, I hate my boss because I could do way, half the stuff your boss do is because of you doing the work, right? But your boss is getting paid for doing or the work that you do, and you're miserable, but you're there for 25, 30 years. When you have an opportunity to take what you know or a skill you have or something, like look at Chinn, she took a situation she went through in order to help educate other people to get free. So you have that something too. It don't mean that you have to quit your 9 to 5, but you daggone well can create a side hustle off of that, especially if you're miserable, because what that is doing is take you to an early grave. So
right.
We're really talking about ways that you can like help yourself financially. And I want you guys to really listen to this and take note. My next question to you is, how do you help people grow their financial confidence? That was really good to me.
So first and foremost, competence breeds confidence.
Ooh.
Competence breeds confidence. So the way to do that is to help people get confident. So the way to do that is to educate. Right. So when you know something, you're confident in that, and you can proceed as such, but if I'm not sure, if I'm just winging it, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I'm scared to make moves. Right. I may even be scared to reach out. I may be scared to ask questions, but that's one of the reasons why I do love social media, because I'm able to help, throw some crumbs out there, do a little bit of education on social media. But once even if you know a little bit, you can confidently go and you can confidently begin to grow your money because you have that education to do so. But that's where a coach comes in. Get a coach. People are struggling with their finances because of three main reasons. One of them is that they don't have a coach. Another one is that they don't have a game plan. And so let me go back. So they don't have a financial coach, right? They don't have a financial game plan. And I will say this. I talked about how people just kind of do things out of just experiment, just letting life happen to them. So having a financial game plan is so important, because when you don't, people say they want to do this. They say, I want to have save $100,000, right? I want to go on vacation every year, but they don't quantify that. They have no idea what that looks like. They don't have a financial plan. So not having a financial plan is the same as saying, I've never been to the state of Washington. So that would be the same as me saying, I want to go to Washington. I've never been there. I don't know how to get there. I have access to a phone, but I don't put that information in to get to Washington. I just get in the car and I just go.
With no roadmap or no GPS to guide you. I'm just about to be on this road and just get there. And from Ohio, listen, we're going to be, I can't even imagine. I'm sure that's probably a few days trip driving, but you probably be in Texas somewhere. So you're just creating this, you're getting in your car, you have this destination, but you have no plan on how to get to this destination. Bye.
Exactly. And you don't have the coach to help you get there. And the third one is we lack a financial education. You don't have the education to help you get there. So people are struggling for lack of financial education. They don't have a coach and they don't have a game plan.
And I'm gonna kind of go a different route, because one of the things that I feel like is so non-existing, and like you said, we went to one of the top colleges, we worked for them, we're thankful for our time there, but one thing we didn't learn in grade school and college, and a lot of our post-secondary, and all types of stuff, was financial literacy, right? We did not learn how to manage money. And the one thing you said that was really powerful is really having a relationship with money. What does that mean?
So actually knowing where you have got these ideas of money, number one, because a lot of us don't go back and say, okay, why am I spending so much? And a lot of us got that from, our parents or our grandparents, or, who we grew up with, what we saw. So a lot of us have formed that relationship of money from, our parents, what we saw growing up, what we remember from growing up, so having a relationship, money is going to form the things that you do as an adult. Are you going to save money? Or are you going to overspend?
And a lot of us don't look at that though. I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. I found myself talking about I understood what money mindset was, but it was a thing that was in my head and not my heart. It's something, it was knowledge, but it wasn't applied knowledge, right? So it was I have this knowledge that I need to really work on my relationship with money. And the reason why I needed to work on my relationship with money was because I grew up in poverty. So I grew up, I was on the welfare system. My mom got food stamps. My mom got financial assistance. We got the WIC, the people back in the day, they were dropping this off at your doorstep. You got the block of cheese, you know what I'm saying? So you got all of that. And then as I grew up, I had some situations of my own. And one of the things that I realized was I get older, you make a decent money, but I would get like a lump sum of money and it was gone. Like kind of like you would say, I'll get this money. And then I'm like, okay. And then I would just make up stuff. Like, did you really need to buy that? And in my mind, it was like, I was trying to adjust it. But what I learned was it was a mindset issue that I had with money. Like, it was like a worth issue that I had. Like, the reason why I'm getting rid of all this, because I was getting rid of it. The reason why I'm getting rid of all this money was because deep down, I didn't believe I was worthy of it. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. It absolutely makes sense. We have all of these different things that we have in our head. I'll never be able to save money. I'll never be good with money. I'll never make a large income, right? I'll never get out of debt. These are all mindset issues. And that's why I work on mindset with people, because you have to understand, you have to believe that, yes, you can get out of debt. Yes, you can save money. Right? That is definitely a mindset issue. So you gotta dig into these things like you did. You said I came up in poverty, so I get money, I throw this money away because I don't believe that I deserve it. So I'm getting rid of it.
And it's like, when I tell you this stuff is so good, because we want to, like, I don't know anybody on the earth who don't want to live a financially free life. And I know that finances is not everything to everybody, but my son, God loves him. So if you're watching this, I don't mean anything negative by it, but he said to me the other day, he's young. He said to me, I don't, what he said, I don't need money. I said, honey, yes, you do. You need money. Like, you may not have to have all the money in the world, but to live in this world, you need money. So regardless of where you at on that spectrum, money is a currency that you need to live, to buy, to breathe. Well, you don't need to breathe, you need oxygen, but you do need money. So don't, like, when you're coming on here, and if you have these misconceptions, like, like, oh man, don't nobody need look at the rich people, they doing all this stuff, then you don't really understand the importance of financial freedom. Talk to me about like the money blocks, right? That really impact our finances.
Absolutely. So, going back to the self-limiting beliefs, those are the money blocks. So like I said, I'll never be able to make a large amount of money. I'll never be able to save money. And then here's another thing. We do certain things that block our potential to earn money, to keep money, to save money. We do things like compare ourselves to other people. We do things like dwell in the past the wrong way.
Wow.
Because there's nothing wrong with dwelling in the past, but when we dwell in the past and we think about all of our failures and things like that, what if you would have stayed stuck in the past? Hey, I've lived in poverty, so I'm going to stay there. Right? What if I would have stayed stuck in the past? I spent all of that money. So people they stay stuck in the past and they think about the things that they've done instead of thinking about their successes and their achievements, But I will say this, it's not easy, right? These are things that are not easy, but it's simple and it can be done. So stop comparing ourselves to each other and other people's successes and the way other people live their lives.
Absolutely.
How they do it. And it's causing these self-limiting beliefs, these self-doubts, because we keep comparing.
Yeah. But I want to bring something else up that you said that was powerful, is when like you're comparing yourself, and a lot of times we're on social media, we see, oh, I'm in Miami, oh, I'm here. And I'm not saying like I don't think everybody on social media is fake.
Yeah.
You know, some people overshare on social media, and some people are flat out lying on social media. How do you not get caught up in that when you're trying to build your own great relationship with money, especially if it's a broken relationship?
Yeah, well, first of all, you have to have long-term vision.
Mm.
And you have to know where you're going, and you have to know that what you're doing is right.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you do that is by, once again, having that education.
Mm.
You know that what you're doing is right because you have the education. I see them out there, but I know that what I'm doing is right. And I know that if this is something that I want to do, if I want to be in Miami too, I'm going to, because I'm going about it the right way. I'm not trying to be in Miami and then when I come home, I can't pay my mortgage, my car about to get repoed because I went to Miami. No, I know I'm doing it the right way. So when I go to Miami, I ain't got to come home to worry about my rent being paid. It's paid. I ain't got to go and worry about my mortgage not being paid, or my baby's having to skip a bill because I want to go in front Miami. No, I'm doing it the right way.
I love that. I think like when you're saying that, like I'm doing it, I'm thinking of a long-term perspective. One time I went to Meijer just for groceries, right? I'm at the store, I'm shopping, and somehow me and the cashier start talking about passports. And so she had asked me something. I can't remember what the conversation was, but I was saying, well, this year it was 2019. And I told everybody in my family, like, we need to get passports. So this was before COVID hit or anything. I was like, okay, y'all, we're going to go get passports. I just was just like, let's just go do it. Right.
Yeah.
So all my kids and my husband. So we went and got them. She said something about passports and she go, it's too expensive to buy a passport. And I'm like, well, I can see why, you would say it's too expensive. I think if I can remember, it's like $147. I said, but what if you took $20 a paycheck? If you really wanted your passport, what if you took $10, $20 a paycheck and put it to a side to get your passport? If that could be a gallon of milk, or it could be something that you're doing that you're spending your money on, like an unnecessary thing, but you're not thinking longevity or long term. So I'm glad that you're saying that, because one, you have to know yourself, right? You have to be comfortable with, oh, you know what? Well, I'm gonna have to plan that such and such time. I can't be, getting my taxes and then blowing it in 30 days. When you can take your taxes, if you getting like $5,000, $2,000 in taxes, you can come up, right? But it's that mindset. So I'm like so glad that you're talking about these things. And I really want y'all to comment, like, if you're struggling with any type of mindset around money. Let me tell you what I love that you said. It's hard, but it's simple. It's hard, but it's simple. And consistency is a great way to live, to make it come to fruition. It's being consistent with changing your mindset. So I'm so listen, I'm like, ooh.
Listen, it is, but you know what, I heard someone say this, you choose your heart.
Ooh, yeah.
It's hard building that up, but it's hard being broke too.
Listen. Okay.
Which one you want?
Which one do you want?
Which one you want?
Man, like, do you want to change? Because some of us are so used to it being in that negative realm that we think it's too much to change it. So we don't try.
Yes. And some have just become accustomed to living a rough life. They're used to it. They think it's normal.
Girl, you are like seriously preaching some stuff. And some, like, it's like, I can see it. Like, I can see people like they won't admit that they love the struggle, but they're addicted to it. Because it brings this woe it's me mentality. Like, I'm the victim. Oh, help me. Because it's easy, right? Because that's your default. But then you don't want to work towards getting yourself out there and believing in yourself enough to generate the money that you want and have it manifest.
Yes. Very true.
This is so good. Like, I really need y'all to comment. So listen, for you, how do you help with people? You know, you have like this feel good strategy that you use with your clients. So tell us about that strategy that you use to help your clients.
Well, you know, first thing is for them to understand, understand what it is that we're trying to work towards. And one of the things that I love to do is let's talk about what it is that you want. Let's talk about your goals. Let's talk about why you're doing this. Let's talk about your children. Let's talk about how excited you are, for them to go to college. Let's talk about how excited you are to retire, to get to get there. So let's start with that. Let's start there. Let's start with the things that really excite people that they want to talk about. And I believe that once you start there, now let's build. Now let's start to create a plan. And I do it step by step because it can be overwhelming. Right. So that's the other thing. Sometimes people just become paralyzed because there's just so much. And that was me at one point. I was so overwhelmed that I just ended up not doing anything at all. So it feels good because we start step by step by step. And every time they finish one thing, they're like, yes. All right, what's next? All right, let's go to the next one. They work on that. Yes, okay, got that. Check. What's next? And that just feels good, that sense of accomplishment. And then at the same time, being able to see those things work. Having to being able to actually see, look at my bank account. Look what I did. Look what's happening here. Look what I've accomplished. You know what? I just went and I got my life insurance. So now I feel secure. I feel safe that, if something were to happen to me, my family's good.
And in addition, you brought up life insurance.
Listen, that's a part, I'm gonna go into this, really, really quick, but this is part of the feel good strategy. I talk about step one, and step one is, to being financially stable, being financially secure, is making sure that you have a strong foundation. So I'll ask you this: when you build a house, that house that you're in right now, why did they put a foundation before they built up upon that foundation? Why did they do that first? What's your answer? Why do they do that?
To build a foundation so it won't fall.
Right? And let's say that something were to happen. Let's say a tornado comes and blows a house away. What's still left? What's still there?
The foundation.
The foundation. So now you can rebuild on that foundation too, right? You can build on it and you can rebuild. So to be financially stable, to be financially secure, you need to make sure that your uncontrollables, the things that you cannot control, are taken care of. Because you're not going to be able to prevent those things from happening. But when they happen, you have a solution.
That's deep.
Right? So life insurance is one of those things you can't prevent. We are all 100% going to leave here. We don't know when, but it's going to happen. So when we do, why not have that there in place? Number one, so you ain't got to go out. People don't have to borrow money, collect money on GoFundMe's for you. I just said, 74% of people live in paycheck to paycheck, but now you're expecting people. And what if people don't like you all like? People don't like you all like that. Get you some life insurance. Don't be a burden, be a blessing. So make sure you got that together. The next thing is you want to have a will. Right? And people are always like, okay, that's for when I'm gone. Yes, it is, but a will is for while you're alive as well. Your advanced directives, things like that. Do you want to be resuscitated? Do you not want to be resuscitated? You want to be intubated? You not want to be intubated. That's for while you're here. So a large part of a will is for while you're living. Who's going to make your financial decisions when you're unable to do them yourself? Who's going to make your healthcare decisions? That's part of a will.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? So once again, an uncontrollable. So have that will taken care of. And then the last one is an emergency fund. This is why most people are living paycheck to paycheck, because if something were to happen, they don't have the money to do it. And now they're stuck. Their paycheck's gone. That next paycheck is gone because they borrowed money to do it. Or they do something that I will also attest that I did, because ain't no shame in my game. I keep it a buck. Now they're going to payday lenders, payday loans, paying out 300% interest.
Wow, 300%
interest on a payday loan. Stuck in the abyss.
Wow. So that's just keeping you in debt.
Keeping you in debt. Keeping you paycheck to paycheck. But take care of those uncontrollables. Make sure you have those three things. Make sure that you have an emergency fund. So if something happened, you don't have to go borrow money. You got it.
What is, like, for an emergency room, what's a typical amount a person should have?
You want to have at least 6 months of your expenses.
Okay.
At least.
And if you don't have 6 months, start with something, like start building that up. Let me tell you something that I did this week. I said, you know what? I'm going to go through Amazon and I'm going to go through and cancel all these subscriptions, because I got HBO. I got, what else I have? So I had all this stuff. I said, I'm just going through, I'm just really changing things, like things that I don't want to pay monthly for. Things I need, like a website. I don't want to pay monthly for a website. Let me just pay it off and be done. I don't need to watch HBO. I think I have BET Plus. I don't need BET Plus. I love watching different shows, but it was just like, how often I had to analyze, like, girl, since you had HBO and BET Plus, how long have you, when do you watch these channels? Like, when do you really watch them? So I was like, do not renew. Like I went through, girl, I went through my PayPal, things I had on subscription. If it wasn't a critical business thing that I needed, I did leave. I was like, I cannot, because it's just like, I don't want to spend money that I don't have to give out, right? I can be doing something else. Like if I want to spend $50 a month and invest in some stock or something else, I'd rather do that than to pay, or something business-wise, than to keep paying for channels that I'm not even watching, or things. It don't have to be channels, things I'm not even watching. So I was like, let me go ahead and just hit the delete button.
Yeah. Yep. There's that, or if there are some things where you're like, I don't want to get rid of it, but I'm trying to find ways to say, but I really don't want to get rid of it. Okay, well, don't get rid of it. I don't tell people to cut out stuff that they don't want to cut out. You know what you do? You go make some more money.
Yes, I love it.
You either cut it out or you make some more money. I'm with making more money.
Collection plate. Make some more money.
That was me dropping some in there.
Okay. Right? It's just like, you have options. Yes. So you don't have to scale back, bring more in. Right? The key is you can't complain about it. Listen, This is really good.
You always have a choice.
You always have a choice. Y'all better, and it's really time to choose wisely, because again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a political advocate. I'm not into any of that, but the signs are just there. They are very clear. So I would just encourage you. I'm glad. Like, again, we didn't time this when I think 2 or 3 banks collapsed that we know of, right? We didn't time that. We didn't know that. Like, we planned this like weeks ago. Right. But the fact that she's here talking about financial education is showing you that you can't, I don't want to say you can't trust the government, but it's like you have to trust yourself. Let's just say that.
Bank on you.
Bank on you. Trust yourself, because you just do not, like you said, you just don't know. And you want to make sure that you are protected, you and your family, especially if you're building a generational legacy around wealth.
Yes,
Listen, okay.
absolutely.
So,
A mindset, that's a mindset issue where you don't trust in yourself, you don't trust in your God-given abilities and talents. That's mindset.
that's deep. That's deep. Because, like, and if you don't know, which you probably don't, because I don't think we didn't share this, but Chinn and I grew up in the social work world at OSU. So we were knee deep in a social work. We was in the class together about age, and we was like, whoa, this teacher. But that's another story. But in the social work world, we call it cognitive behavior therapy. It's just all about, like, if you would be surprised the things that you've encountered as a child that you are still believing today. Like, especially around money don't grow on trees, things like that. Like, I've heard my coach say it. I know Chinn says it to her clients. Like, these are the beliefs that I was taught. So because of that, either we do what they do, or we go to the opposite way, right? Like I told you, I'd be like, I got how much money? Let me find ways. And I was doing it subconsciously, but I was doing it.
Yes.
So I want you guys, like, if you are having trouble around money mindset, I really need you guys to reach out to Chinn, because that will keep you captive the rest of your life. If you don't get free from your relationship with money, some of us, we allow money to control us, which we are supposed to be controlling money.
Right.
So I'm telling you right now, if you're in a situation where you are really having issues with your money, get with Chinn. So what advice would you give a person who doesn't understand the importance of having a healthy relationship with money? Like, how do you have a healthy relationship with money?
Yeah. Well, once again, and you just talked about this, the things that we go through as children. So once again, number one, you have to understand where your relationship that you have right now, where did that come from? And that's one of the things that I help people do, taking them, back. Let's go back. Let's think about some things. What is it that you're doing now? You have to understand that first. And once you understand that, then you can move forward. Right? You got to know where that came from. And then you have to actually know and realize and see those patterns. What is it that you're doing? Because a lot of times we don't see it. It takes some time, or it takes somebody else to point that out to you. Right? So the first thing is reach out for help. Get some help with that. Like you said, reach out to me. That's something I love, helping people, really dig deep and find those things. And then once you do that, you go through that process. You learn, you unlearn, and then you relearn. You learn, you unlearn. And that's lifelong. Like that's always going to be the case. You're going to learn, you're going to unlearn, and you're going to relearn. And I actually heard there's a saying where basically they're saying the illiterate of today will not be the people who cannot read, but it'll be the people who cannot successfully go through that phase of learning, unlearning, and relearning.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, this has been so so much information that you guys can really take in and understand why you're struggling in the area of money. I don't know, like I said, I don't know anyone who is like, yep, I want to be broke. Like, I don't know anybody who's in that boat, because money is a necessity. Like, I don't care what anyone say, it's a necessity. But why not have it to the point where, you're financially free? Financial freedom provides just different choices and options. Like, we can't be looking at rich, wealthy people like, oh, they just want this or they're greedy. It provides you with a better, a different option. It gives you options. Let me just say that. Yes. It gives you options that you don't have before. And a lot of those options is good. Some people say money isn't everything. But we are responsible for our own happiness and all that stuff. But money is a tool to help you live a great life. I don't care what nobody says. It is a tool to help you live a great life. And we need it. You cannot pay your bills. Like, we wouldn't have all these lights on and this camera on if we did not need money.
That's right.
Right.
And even the people who talk about, I just want to help people. Okay, well, even if you run a homeless shelter, that homeless shelter don't run on prayers and just prayers and air. Where are they getting the money for the lights? I mean, you need money for electricity. You need money to feed these people. You need money for that building that you're putting these homeless people in.
Yeah.
So even if you have, a nonprofit, you want to start a nonprofit, you need money for that.
Mm-hmm. So listen, I love this. Just don't get caught up in that cycle and think of that money is evil. That's another limited belief that, is something we learned when we were younger. Just really reconnect with analyze your relationship with money. And what is this perspective in your life? And some of y'all haven't even heard, I know y'all have it, that you have a relationship with money. Because I was like, oh, when I first heard this was probably like 2 years ago or maybe a year ago. I'm not even gonna lie, it wasn't that long ago. Well, I was like, oh, really, like looking at my relationship. And if you think of relationship, how am I interacting? How am I communicating? How am I doing this with a person? What does that look like with money? Do you respect it? Some of us don't respect money. And if we don't respect it, money is not going to respect us. So it's really very important that you understand like your limited beliefs, how to get from point A to B, your relationship with money, so that you can create a life of authenticity. So I want to take the time to say thank you so much, Chinn. Any last comments you want to share?
Absolutely. Once again, thank you for having me. I will definitely say this, there's millions of different professions in the world. There's millions of doctors, lawyers, real estate agents. But here in the United States of America, there are 250,000 of us licensed financial advisors, right? But we all need money. We just talked about that. We all need money. And so, with that, I am building a team of people, of individuals who are wanting to get in on this. There's a $72 trillion wealth transfer. $72 trillion. And the only way to get in on that is to have the licensing to do it. This is the most lucrative industry in the world, financial services, and we are underrepresented. So in that 250,000, less than 5% are Black and brown.
Wow.
And from that, less than 1% are Black and brown women. So I am building a team of people who are wanting to get in on this, get in on this money, this wealth transfer, get in on this financial education, people who want to be sponsored and mentored to get these licenses, because the only way you're going to be able to get in on it is to get these licenses to do it. So reach out to me. Reach out to me if this is something that you're wanting to do, if you're wanting to get in on this $72 trillion wealth transfer. Reach out to me for that. Reach out to me for financial education. Reach out to me for more information. One of the things I do is I offer free financial planning for people. Right? A lot of people don't know that. I offer free financial planning for people. So that's something that I'm able to help do. If you're wanting to learn about those uncontrollables and how you can do that, how you can build a strong foundation, how you can build that wealth.
How you can build that wealth. So listen, I'm over here like what $1 trillion wealth transfer. Listen, if y'all are not getting anything, y'all really need to connect to uplevel. I'm telling you, like, Again, I ain't trying to scare nobody. I'm not a political person, but if the writing is not on the walls,
Yes.
I don't know what else is. So really take heed to this so that you can level up your finances so that for the next 150 years or so, ever long, you're creating generational wealth. So with all due, I just want to say thank you so much because you've shared so much information that you did not have to. So if you need some financial services, if you need to get some information to my audience where she is going to help you, please connect with her. Again, we're going to put all the information in this description. Please make sure you are reaching out to get more information for you can actually have a life of authenticity and living the life that you want and not just out here faking the funk. Because we don't got time for that, honey. We don't got time for faking the funk. So it has been a pleasure. And to my audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to make sure you show up in your true authenticity, power, and your purpose. Till next time, see you later.